Hey guys, good morning. So I just thought that I'll show you a little bit around my FJ. It's still early days, got a lot of plans for it, but yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. So this is sorry for the wind. This is a 2012 FJ Cruiser, 4-liter V6. Bought it a couple of months ago actually, and yeah, I've made some changes from when I initially picked it up. It had a roof rack at the top. It had stock rims obviously at that time. It did have the bumper and the rock sliders that I didn't add, but I bought this one specifically for that rock sliders. I am gonna change this TJM bumper. I'm not particularly fond of it, just because of the shape. It's very bulky, as you can see. I mean, I'm sure it's strong. It's a TJM so you would expect it to be strong, but that's not my concern. It's very thick. It doesn't allow for much clearance for the wheels, as you can see, and it's very heavy. Obviously steel frame, so I most probably will replace it. I've already got a bumper in mind. I'm thinking of going to the Dunello, which is an American brand made out of aluminium, much lighter. Obviously it had a winch in, removed that. The Dunello that I'll put in will also be winch compatible, but I'll replace it with a synthetic winch, not a steel coil winch. But yeah, I just don't like the look of this bumper. It's just too bulky. But yeah, once I get to that point, I'll show you guys. But the very first thing that I did when I bought the FJ is removing the reason being is, and I'm maybe one of the few people that argue this way, is that 99% of all my travels, I don't need it. Let me just get out of the wind here. I don't need the roof rack, and it creates a lot of wind noise, almost unbearable. So I asked Toyota to have the roof rack removed, replaced with these inserts. It's 100% waterproof. Was an expensive job considering that they just had to remove it, but I'd rather have it done properly than run the risk of any leakages in the roof. So no more wind noise. The long rake of the FJ still creates, if you have a crosswind, still creates wind noise, like this howling sound, but I can live with that. 99% of the time at the speeds that I'm driving, I have no wind noise. So just after I removed the roof rack, I actually bought these Cooper tires. These are ST Max Coopers. It's like a hybrid between all-terrain and mud-terrain. And the reason why I went with these and not the full-on ST Max Pros or ST Pros is because this is a daily driver, and I didn't want to have that howling tire sound that you typically get with the mud terrains, and all-terrain wasn't aggressive enough. So I thought these were a good balance, and so far they've done really well. These are 285, as you can see, 285 70s R17s. So basically a 33-inch tire. It's a 32.8 inch, so pretty close. Still a lot of clearance. This FJ doesn't have a stock suspension. You won't be able to see properly now, but excuse me, they running Holman Emos. Now the previous owner thought it wise to spray paint these. Not entirely sure why. I looked underneath this whole vehicle just before I bought it, and previous owner spray painted a lot of it, and I guess it's just because they wanted to have it look better. But in all honest opinion, there weren't any major rust on this vehicle anyway, so I'm not sure what was the logic behind it. It's just an annoyance, something that you have to remove anyway once you do maintenance on it. So yeah, after the tires, the next thing that I did was what was it? I basically fitted tire sensors, as you can see there, on all of them, all 5, or excuse me, all 4, and you can see the sensor here in the car. It works really well, to be honest, I must say. Maybe one of the cheapest, best things that I bought on this. I actually bought it initially when I still had the Ranger, but I would say everybody that's serious about off-roading, that's like the minimum, and it's not expensive. And I initially made a mistake to buy the external sensors that puts on your cap, and the problem with those are, well, firstly, they are about that high or tall, and it's inevitable that you'll run them off with a rock or something like that. And they're also very easy to steal. Now I do know that they have some locking mechanism at the back, so but you still can, if you force them, you can take them off. And then you obviously, when you're always airing up and airing down, they become a nuisance. So I just opted to go for the internals. They're almost the same cost. The only drawbacks with the internals are that they sealed units, and once the battery has given up, that's basically it. I think they will last 5 years. That's what they reported at. But yeah, I mean, it's nice caps, it's all metal, and they work well, I must admit. And they very accurate. They're as accurate as my external sensor or my pressure gauge that I carry with me. And I actually use this gauge when I'm airing up, so I don't have obviously the gauges on your compressors aren't reliable, or not reliable, not accurate. This one is 0.1 of a bar almost accurate, if not more so. So I just keep an eye on this one. As soon as it hits 2.2 or 2.3, then I let it go, and it's 90% of the time pretty accurate. And then after the sensors, I got the rims. This is the most recent addition, Dixie Peck 17-inch rims. The stock rims had a positive offset of 15. These have a positive offset of +6, so they're a little bit more out, or more in, pushing the tire a little bit out, gives the car a little bit, like 9mm, so it's not a lot, a little bit of a more wider stance. Looks good, but it still means that your tire isn't too far off your mud flaps, so you don't have rocks hitting the side of your vehicle. It's more important for the front, obviously, but you don't have rocks hitting the side of your vehicle, and you don't want that, to be honest, if you're driving hundreds of kilometers on dirt roads. But yeah, they're brand new. As you can see, there's still a sticker here. I got them, I think it's just over a week ago. And then just to show you, let me just finish off inside. Now, I've not done much inside yet. I like my car looking clean. I am going to install a radio, FM radio, two-way radio. Not too sure where I'm going to put it. They most probably put it here on the side, but I don't know if I can be able to fit it nicely and cleanly at the top here, and I don't see any space for it over here. So we'll see what they do there. Maybe at the back. No, that's not going to work. We'll see what we do, but I've got the radio already. It's just simply putting it in. The reason why I haven't done it yet is because I'm going to remove that front bumper and the aerial. The antenna will most probably be on the front bumper. But yeah, like you say, it's pretty much stock. The radio stock, everything. I'm looking at replacing the radio with a touch interface. But I mean, it's not essential for me yet. I've got my cable here that can work with the phone. So I can live with it without it for the time being. I've got more essential things that I need to upgrade on this vehicle that is less to do with the interior. But yeah, so you can, as you can see, pretty stock. At the back, also fifth rim. Now unfortunately the drawback, let me just turn away from the wind. Unfortunately the drawback from these less offset rims or more offset rims is that the cover that comes with the FJ doesn't fit, or at least the screw, the bolt doesn't reach this hole. It goes in through the cover and it screws into there, and it doesn't fit, or it's not long enough. Now that's an easy fix. You just buy a longer bolt of the same size and Bob's your uncle. It still will fit here, so that's not the problem. But I mean, I like the look of the rim. The only sore point is this thing. This doesn't look nice, but it's got the reverse camera there, so unless I relocate this, it needs to stay. The cover does allow for this clearance. Okay. Inside is very minimalistic, if you like. Fridge, cables running to the front, and it's connected to the front battery, but there is a dual battery that I put between this the back seats and the front seats. I'll show you in a second. I don't have it with me now. It's in a charger at home. I'm not using it at the moment, so this fridge is pretty much it's disconnected. It's not running at all, but it's a easy connection. So whenever I go on a trip, I just put the battery unit at the back of my the passenger seat and connect it. My chair, foldable chair, nice and small. I like that. Obviously you need to have a extinguisher, as it's essential. I already had an incident last year where, not this vehicle but somebody else's vehicle was burning out on the side of the road. I had an extinguisher. I helped the guy, but my extinguisher was too small, and we weren't able to extinguish the fire. In any case, once the fire gets past a certain point, it doesn't matter what size extinguisher you have, you won't be able to extinguish the fire. But this is a relatively nice big one. It's a bit far out of the way. I must actually ideally put it in the front somewhere, but it's a heavy unit and I haven't had a chance to secure it properly, and I don't want it to be in the front. If I get into an accident, this will become a projectile. It is fastened at the moment, very rudimentary with but it's, I mean, it's tough there, or it's secured with this as well. It won't go anywhere. In here, my tools, my socket set, my compressor, recovery gear at the top, and at the bottom is like strap downs, ratchets, all the little essentials that you need for camping and stuff. So all the tools that I need. If I go camping, the setup stays exactly the same. I basically just add my tent. All the other things go at the front seats. These seats, as you know, if you remove the front seats cushions, this will lay back down to level of this ground, which is one of the key selling features of the FJ that I really like, is that it levels with this. As you can see, it already has the cover to allow for that surface area, and it basically almost doubles your carrying capacity. It's very nice. The only problem is once you lay down, you don't have these you can't really use these strap down points, and they're not particularly strong in any case. Like you see, I've already damaged this one. I mean, it's tight, but these ones are much better. That's in the floor here. They're pretty strong, and that's what I use to secure the fridge as well. And this obviously, actually I have to just give it a little bit of a, there we go. So as you can see, I mean, it's not going anywhere, and it's just one strap. The fridge is also pretty secure, so I'm happy with it. It's very simple. I don't have any drawer system as of yet. I'll get to that point once I have a little bit more money, but I want to do it properly. I don't want to add too much weight, so I'll build it out of aluminium or some sort, and plywood, make it as light as possible. Create a drawer system for the fridge. The fridge will most probably be elevated. There will be a drawer here, and it will pull out like this, something like that. I'm still working on it, and that's pretty much it. FJ is still a work in progress. Upgrades that I will do in the future soon, most probably the next one will be the exhaust. This is obviously still the stock exhaust. It's showing its age, and I wonder, and this car is so quiet that I hear the tires more so than the engine. So I want to do something about that. I don't want a very loud car, SUV, so I'll most probably be conservative in terms of the exhaust system, but I want a deeper throaty sound, so I'll definitely replace the whole exhaust system. And then thereafter will be a major suspension upgrade. Even though the Oldman Emos is serving me well, I'm thinking of upgrading it to Icon suspension, which is an American brand. And I'll be likely replacing the upper control arms, the coils, the shocks itself as well, and I'll look in terms of the lower control arms. I'm not too sure whether I'll do that, because once you start tampering with the lower control arms and you install long travel suspension, then you need somebody that really knows their shit. And in South Africa, I don't know, sometimes I get the impression we South Africans, we still have a lot to learn in terms of suspension. But definitely I want to Icons. I think it would be most probably be the Stage 5, which will be a full replacement of everything you see here, back to front. And I'll have adjustable up control arms so that I can adjust the caster, so that I make sure that this wheel clears all the edges. Currently at full flex, this wheel does rub, I think at the back here, that little thing. And a lot of the guys actually cut this section off. You can just remove this. There's like a steel, I don't know, protrusion here, and they actually cut this off to give it more clearance. As you can see, it's already, and it's not even at maximum flex, and it's already very, very close. So that's one thing that I need to address, and I want to move the tire a little bit forward, because it's got enough clearance here. Let's just take a look at the other side. Okay, you can't see, but more clearance as I have at the back. So I want to move the tire a little bit forward. I will most probably not go bigger than 33s. If I do the lower control arms, long travel suspension, then maybe, but then I'll have to remove this. I'll still have to cut that. So, and this bumper obviously is also a hindrance, so it's going to be a pretty big upgrade, and it's going to cost a lot of money. So that's why I've been putting it off. I've not needed it as of yet, but I want to do a little bit more serious stuff, so that's going to be on the docket soon. Then obviously I've got belly protection, nothing major. Ironman, it's not the best, it's very thin, but it does the job for now. And then these rock sliders, I like these rock sliders. It's also TJM, but this I like. They're very strong. They connected at 1, 2, 3 points. You can see there, and they're very strong. And the other thing I like them, especially, or the main reason why I like them, is they do not really add much to your clearance, or they do not reduce your clearance by that much. They only take about that space, and they do not come out very far. They hug the body, so I like it. It means that you still have that clearance, and that's the FJ. I'll definitely show you more as I do, add more things to it. In fact, I'll most probably do the exhaust and then the bumper. The suspension will take some time. I need to find a good distributor that can bring them in at a relatively reasonable price, because I mean, that's going to be well over 100 grand, the suspension. So I still need to stomach that. And other than that, I would like to hear what you guys think. I like to keep my vehicles clean. I like to keep the FJ clean, and I really like this. This is a nice car. It's very capable, and one day I'll be able to take on the Jeep Wranglers. We'll see. But other than that, it's a perfect car. A lot of the guys, just in closing, a lot of guys put superchargers on these V6s. I will, for the time being, do not entertain that idea. I've had some complications with the past with my other vehicles with performance upgrades, and I'm gonna, for the time being, stay clear of that. I may do it in the future, but I'll only do that when the FJ is no longer my primary vehicle. When I park it and I buy something more economical, then I'll play around with the engine, the performance, intercoolers, superchargers, all those kind of things. Or radiator doesn't have an intercooler. Then I'll play around with that, because then I can take those chances. But other than that, at the moment, I'm happy with the amount of power that it has. I've not found a place where I feel like I'm limited by the power of the vehicle. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think. That's my FJ Cruiser. Cheers guys.